morning and welcome. You're watching Blytheway's Business News and I'm Charlie Gibson. And joining me in the studio, Chief Executive of Oriole Resources, Tim Livesey. Tim, very good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Tell us about Oriole. Tell us first of all how you got your name.
Oriole was a bird that was identified as being in the area that we operate in West Africa and also in Turkey, where we have some assets. Golden Oriole, of course. Golden, we're a gold exploration company operating in the areas that we are operating, the breeding areas of the bird. So it seemed to make sense, and most importantly, it wasn't a name that was common in the market, so it stands out. It was a pretty short decision to make, but I think a good one in the end. It reflects what we try to do, chasing gold in West Africa and elsewhere in Africa and Europe.
So you found something in common between Turkey and West Africa. I think I'm right in saying that which is the Golden Oriole, yeah. For which well done. I think it's true to say your main focus at the moment is the West African projects.
It is, yes. Main focus is Cameroon and also Senegal, where we have one license in Senegal, which is currently under an earning agreement by IAMGOLD. They're spending 8 million over a maximum 6-year period on earning into the license, next door to the Boto mine development project, which is currently
they're the operator there.
They are operating in Senegal. We review the work programs the beginning of each year, and they report through to us on a monthly basis on their activities. They completed the first year earning last year. It was March to March, and we've just gone forward into year 2, which has seen a tripling of the drill meters planned for this year, and an expansion onto other targets within Dalafin than the southernmost Medina Barfe, which was their focus last year.
So promising signs coming out of Senegal, but more importantly, that leaves you then free to focus on Cameroon.
Absolutely, yes. Cameroon is our big push. We have 2 licenses in the north of Cameroon at the moment, Bibemi and Wapuzi. The Bibemi license was, when we took the licenses on, it was slightly more advanced. There had already been some soil sampling and some trenching. The Wapuzi license was simply some stream sediment sampling showing indications of gold anomalism. So we've been working on the licenses now for just coming up to a year. Bibemi, we have done some quite extensive trenching, 2 phases, a 200 meter spaced trenching initially, and then some infill in, let's call it the hotter zones, in the core of the Bakassi zone. And Wapuzi, some broad space soils, and then again some infill soils. So we've been announcing results through the year, and we still have some outstanding from the infill soils at Wapuzi and the infill trenches at Bibemi. But the first phase of work at Bibemi is complete. And we announced yesterday, we announced some good results, 9 meters at 3.14 grams as an example, really confirming what we've seen already from the existing trenching from reservoir minerals, and also from some grab sampling that we did in the early parts of the program, mid-2018, when we saw some bonanza grades, 100 grams plus in grab samples on surface. So the results are really focusing us in there.
How do you rationalise those 2 things? You've got a grab sample from the surface of 100 grams a tonne. I think it's about 4 ounces per tonne, I think, in old money. Yeah. And then you come up with these trenching results and these soil sampling results, and you're getting more normal grades.
Yes, I mean it is an area typical area of nugget gold, coarse gold, and it's associated with quartz tourmaline veining in these deep structures. Deep tapping structures.
When you say deep, what do you mean?
Well, this part of the crust is a splay off the central Cameroonian shear zone, which is what we call a deep crustal structure. So it's literally a massive zone of structural interruption between the West African craton and the Congo craton. So it's an area where the rocks have been massively compressed and sheared, and these structures typically tap very, very deep into the crust, and because of that they have multiple phases of fluid movement along them, and obviously we hope that some of those phases of fluid movement are carrying gold.
But I suppose the point I was getting, they're not deep in the sense that a South African mine is deep.
No,
they're
we're
on the surface.
On the surface, and this is the beauty. The veins literally stand out you trip over them on the ground as you walk through the bush. We've got the advantage in Cameroon perhaps over Senegal, where we don't have a thick ferrocrete or saprolitic cover, typically 8 to 10 meters. Here in Cameroon, fresh rock is within a couple of meters of surface.
And you're in, to give us an idea, because I'm not sure that all of our viewers are entirely familiar with Cameroon. It's at that sort of corner of Africa.
Yes.
Where are you within Cameroon?
The two licenses we have at the moment are up in the north of Cameroon.
Right.
So we've got Chad on the east and Nigeria on the west.
And you're closer to which one? Because it sounds like
closer to Chad.
Right. So you're in the French-speaking Cameroon.
Yeah.
I mean, a crude history is it used to be German, wasn't it? And then
Yeah.
about 100 years ago, the British said, we'll have that bit, and the French said, we'll have that bit. Yeah. So you're in the French bit.
Yeah, and the majority of Cameroon by area is, let's call it Francophile. Mm-hmm. The Anglophile area is really in the southwest, up towards the Nigerian border in the southwest. We're completely the opposite end of the country to that.
And you're operating in dense jungle, in savannah,
no, it's
bushveld,
scrub. It is a little bit like the bushveld actually. It's open, short trees, scrub, grasslands. The topography is quite flat, quite low. We've put in considerable amount of trenching in the last few months, and nowhere have we been unable to access because of steep topography or river valleys, deeply incised river valleys, that sort of thing. So it's a very benign area to operate, to be quite frank.
You have a West African franc. Do you have a West African franc?
Yes.
You do have one. So it's pegged to the euro. So you have
there's
a credible
stability,
currency.
Credible currency. And the government has been working in the last 2 or 3 years, actually a little bit longer, maybe 3 to 5 years, has been working to promote investment specifically in exploration and mining. There is a World Bank funded program operated by BRGM from France, GTK from Finland, and BEIG3 from Cameroon, doing a Cameroon-wide geological remapping, airborne geophysics, stream sediment sampling, petrography, with the idea of promoting, building a data set to promote investment into exploration and mining in Cameroon.
So let me put it to you this way. Where would you've got good indications that there's gold on your ground.
Yeah.
Where would you like to be in say, I don't know, 3 years' time? Because it's fairly early stage at the moment.
It is.
As you say, it's coarse gold, it's nuggety. That can make it difficult to model and predict.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a 3-year time horizon, roughly,
Okay.
because I think you should be able to achieve everything you want to in roughly that time. So what would you hope? What are the milestones we should be looking for and when?
So the next step on the existing licenses would be, on Bibemi, would be to put in a drill program. We've identified the surface geology, we've remapped it, relogged it, we've got the assay results, we know where the hotspots are in the key areas. We're going to be spending the summer doing a structural interpretation. We already looked at the regional structure and reinterpreting from some of the geophysics. So we'll be putting together designing a drill program for Bibemi, and that, if we can start that towards the end of this year, then that gives us, in your 3-year time frame, gives us the opportunity to identify, target, drill, test, and potentially build resource on a number of targets within Bibemi. At Bibemi, we have over 20 kilometers of anomalous gold strike. We've only focused on the core 4 kilometers. So this first phase is what we consider to be the hottest zone from what we knew when we first came in. But there's potential within this other 20 kilometers of strike to find other targets. So certainly in 3 years' time, Bibemi should be well advanced, drilled, understand the geology, understand the structures, understand the structural control and the gold deportment.
JORC resource?
JORC resource would be ideal. That's the next step to adding value, typically. At Wapuzi, we would also be at a drilling stage by then easily. within 3 years. And then behind that, we are applying this summer, we're going to be going back in with our partner and applying for additional licenses in Cameroon. So what we hope to build in Cameroon over the next 3 years is a pipeline of projects, predominantly gold focus, obviously, with everything from early stage grassroots targeting right through to resource development and ideally beyond. And
what's your exit strategy then for all these licenses, all these projects that you're looking to take to the next stage? Is it to farm out like you've done in Senegal? Is it to sell them? Is it to sell the company? Is it to raise money and develop them yourselves?
It's difficult to say definitively right now. Obviously, you get an inflection point in value when you announce a resource. So whether that's a value on that specific license, or whether it's an inflection point in value for the company, that would pretty much depend on the scale of what we find. Nothing is off the table. If somebody comes in and says, you know, we'd like to buy your company, then if the value is there for the shareholders, that will be considered. If it's on a license by license basis, then potentially we could be looking at either selling on or passing on those individual licenses. The key thing is for us not to become really concreted to one particular license to the detriment of the company. You know, as a junior explorer, the key thing is to turn licenses over, and where the license is not providing scope for you to grow it, to get rid of it, hand it back, JV it out, sell it, whatever, to bring some value back to the company.
And what do you think the investment is required to get you to this stage that we've been talking about?
Well, you know, drilling programs are not cheap. We have cash in the bank at the moment. So, you know, the rest of this year we're good, but at some point, a proper drill program on Bibemi and then onto Wapuzi. It really depends on how many targets come out of this summer's work. You know, we have, at Bibemi, the work we've done so far, the trenching we've done so far, we've identified at least 3 areas that are very, giving us very good results from gold, from either rock chips, soils, trenching. And, you know, as you know, the best indicator for finding gold in the system is finding gold in the system. So, you know, we've identified gold, we've identified high grade, we've identified zones like the 9 meters at 3 grams that we announced this morning. You know, zones of, shall we say, more normal grades over wider widths, which is typical what you need for volume. You need the volume for mining. So, you know, we would have a number of targets. The key thing is understanding the structural control of those. These things will have a dip and a plunge to them, and identifying that dip and plunge is critical to making sure the drilling is targeted properly, and we can extend those down dip beyond the surface expression of those quartz veins that we trip over that are, you know, 100 grams a ton.
Where can we find more about this? What I'm really asking is, what's your website address?
Web address, orioleresources.com. We are pretty much up to speed on that. We've got a corporate presentation on there. We've got specific presentations on Cameroon, and also obviously on Senegal and our other investments and assets.
Tim, we wish you the very best of luck. Come back and see us when it's all done. Let us know. Let us know how it's going, actually, while you're doing it.
We'd be delighted to. Thanks very much.
Not at all. My pleasure. That was Tim Livesey, ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Executive Officer of Oriole Resources. As you heard there, if you want to know more about them, go to orioleresources.com. If you want to know about golden Orioles, probably go somewhere else. I'm afraid that's all from me, Charlie Gibson, for the Blythe Way Business News. We'll be back with more such opportunities in the not too distant future. But until then, you have a very capital day.